Good morning or afternoon, depending again when you're doing this. We're doing crabs and other crustaceans today. Only part of it though, I think in your instructions you'll see, just go down through like ghost crabs, and then we'll finish up the rest of it tomorrow, or because of forum, our classes are a little bit shorter today. It's going to be 3 or 4 videos for you to watch short. Yes, you may scroll. Anyhow, that's it. And you'll have the reading and all that. You just want to jot down notes again on this. No questions. You just want to write notes, okay? Again, what you feel is important, something that would help you study for a test. If there was going to be a massive test on this, you would want to be able to write these notes and then look through those notes, and it would help you to study for the test, okay? All right, here we go. All right. Everyone knows what a crab is, or at least I hope you do. They have hard-shelled animals with pincers, okay? But scientists use the term crab and true crab, okay? And we're going to talk about what a true crab is in a few minutes, okay? And crustaceans to mean different things. A horseshoe crab, for example, is classified apart. But he's going to fall into that category, but he is neither a crab or a crustacean.
Wait, so would it be a true crab?
He is not a true crab. Horseshoe crab is not a crab at all. He's actually not a crab. He is a unique creature. We'll talk about him more a little bit later on. But scientists think he is probably been around since the beginning of time, and hasn't really changed a whole lot. Okay, he's quite an amazing. Why?
Why? You always why, Braxton?
All right.
Why, Braxton? That's what it feels.
But all of these things falls into an arthropod. Okay, you got land forms, you got marine form. Okay, the land, you got your insects, your spiders, centipedes, millipedes, scorpions, mites. All of that, they fall into this category, okay? But they're on land. Then you got the marine forms, okay? Horseshoe crabs, sea spiders, and then your crustaceans is your barnacles, shrimps, lobsters, mole crabs, and true crabs. Okay?
True crab's a type of crab.
True crabs, we're going to talk about what a true crab is in a few minutes. Okay? Anyway, these things makes up. They were the most numerous and widespread group of animals on Earth. Okay? They numbered nearly 1 million species. Not 1 million creatures. 1 million species that each has probably 1 billion of them. Okay? In fact, there is so many of these little creatures that they make up about 75% of all the animals on Earth. Okay? Fortunately, they're very small and we can crush them with our feet. Otherwise, they would rule up and take over the world probably. Okay? Yeah. All right, they have no backbone, so they're invertebrates. Okay? They do have segmented bodies. Think about ants, how a little ant has like 3 different parts to his little body. Okay? They have jointed legs, and they have that hard exoskeleton, or an outer shell. Okay? It's an outer shell. Now, as we go through this, if you don't get your notes down, don't start screaming and whining, okay? 2 things. We will come back to it, okay? And it's online. At 2 o'clock this afternoon, it will be online, so you can, I know, homework at home, oh my gosh, blow my mind too, okay? All right, now, the crustaceans are the marine equivalent of insects, spiders and scorpions and things like that, okay? Marine arthropods grows bigger, and we've talked about this before, because the water helps support the weight of their shells. Okay? Land arthropods are limited in size by the weight of their exoskeleton because the gravity pulls down on them, so they can only get so big, right? But in the water, remember we talked about this before. If you're in a swimming pool, if you try to lift someone up on land, you might be able to lift them up, but it's going to put a little bit more strain to you. You try to pick them up while you're in the swimming pool, it's a lot easier because the water is helping to support their weight. Well, that's the way these guys are with their exoskeletons, with their shells. They can get bigger because the water helps support that weight. Now, if they had to live on land only, they wouldn't get that big because they wouldn't be able to move. The weight would weight them down so much they couldn't even probably move, okay? So you can see the difference there, okay? Molting is a process common to crustaceans, okay? To grow in size, they have to periodically shed its external shell. Basically, it outgrows its shell. So it has to get rid of that shell in order for the body to keep growing, okay?
Oh, like,
yeah, and he will shed that shell, and in a few days, he will get a new shell, okay? And it will harden up. It takes about 2 days for it to harden up. But in those 2 days, he is very vulnerable, okay?
Yeah.
Anything can get hold of him because he has no protection now,
it's kind of like,
okay? That's where the soft crab thing comes from, okay? Okay, he's all meat at that point in time. He has nothing to protect him, okay? Not good. All right. Birds also moat. If you guys notice, you'll see them doing it now. They'll be all ugly. Their color and all that, their feathers are all, and it's like, you're like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with that guy? He's growing, he's getting new feathers. I mean, he is, you know, by now they probably got him. But that's what they do in order to show all that beauty that God has given them. All those beautiful colors and all.
This one, like right before he got older, he had this like they're growing feathers, and I thought it was a bone nut. I thought one of his bones was impaled in his skin because there was like this weird bone and didn't have any feathers on it. I was like,
yeah, they do. They can look weird.
it looks
All right.
so weird.
Now, the amazing thing about these guys is that they were able to break off one or more leg as an escape mechanism. I mean, they're designed for this, okay? If a predator grabs hold of a crab's leg, the predator may pull the leg off, or the crab might itself twist enough that he pulls that leg off, and whatever's trying to eat him is left holding the leg, and he scurries off.
That's crazy.
But the beauty of it is, okay, he will sacrifice that limb to save his life. And if the limb breaks off, it breaks off at a specific joint that was specially adapted not to bleed if the limb comes off.
Whoa.
Now, he has blood flow. He has to have blood flow through it in order to keep it alive, right?
The second it
But
comes
yet,
off, you just watch it.
like if right here was that and you pulled that off, it seals so he doesn't bleed. So he doesn't lose any blood.
That's insane.
And then when he moats, guess what?
Yeah.
He grows it back.
That's amazing. But of course, it takes a while for him to need another molt, so.
Well, yeah, it does. I mean, it doesn't happen like
Yeah.
in 12 seconds, but he still grows it back. I think we're missing the big picture here. Yeah, it takes some time, but he grows it back. If Spears grabs hold of my arm, twists it around, breaks it off,
He's not a rat.
first of all, somebody better put a tourniquet on because I'm going to bleed out.
Yeah.
And second of all, it ain't going to grow back. Okay? So that's pretty amazing.
Why is the blue
All right.
olive green?
Wait,
Now, we're going to talk about that.
good time.
Yes.
So like, you know how like whenever you go, like fishing for crabs or something, and like you sometimes use that like square, like that square kind of looking like fishing net or whatever. Like, can they break out of that by like breaking their legs?
It would be harder, but they probably, I guess if they're smaller, they probably could.
Yeah.
The big ones would still have a hard time. They
Yeah,
probably
that's
could.
what I know.
All right, the blue crab. All right, the blue crab is actually olive green on most of his body. He is known as a blue crab simply because of the blue coloration on his claws and his legs. Okay, the tip of the claws, crab's claws and body it's got some red on him. Okay? Females will have a little bit more. Yes?
Did you know that crabs have two different kinds of claws, one for crushing and one for...
Did you know that I know everything there is to know about crabs?
Yeah, because he's a marine biologist teacher.
Yeah.
Everything. I know everything there is. That's not true. I don't
Then
know.
what's a crab?
But I did know that. But he's right. They do.
Yeah, one
They've
for
got,
like,
yep.
like fencing,
That's
Yep.
why that's why one is so much bigger than the
and
other.
Yeah.
one's a crushing.
But he is correct. But no, I don't. I'm just kidding. I do not know everything there is to know about crabs. I told y'all before, I learned something new every summer when I redo this and get it updated. I learned something new too. Okay, so you never stop learning. Don't ever think you know everything there is to know. You never stop learning. If you'll just open your mind, you never know everything. Okay. Now here's the thing. They also have a white underside. Okay. But like all true crabs, and remember we talked a few minutes ago about crabs and true crabs. These guys are true crabs. This is what makes a true crab. Okay? They have 5 pairs of legs. 5 pairs of legs, which means they have how many legs?
5.
10.
10. 5 pairs. 10.
I was
Okay.
so confused recently.
All right. The first pair
5.
is the pinchers. That's his pincher. That's that first pair. The next 3 pair are walkers, where he can scurry around the land. The last 2 are formed into like little paddles that he can swim. Okay? So he's got pinchers, 3 walkers, and swimmers.
Wait,
Yes,
can
sir.
you go back out to the picture real quick? I want to take one more look at
We
it.
can.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Right. This is the swimmers right here. Okay? All right. Now, the other thing that makes him a true crab is he have eyes on movable stalks that comes up out of his head. Okay? That makes him a true crab. There's 2 advantages to that. He can see 360 degrees. That's pretty cool. Without having to do this.
Yeah, so
I mean,
no
we can see
predator-
360 degrees too, but we have to turn all the way around. He can just not.
Yeah, so
Okay.
no predator can sneak up.
And he has the ability to retract the eyes down into grooves on his shell
That's scary.
for protection, to help protect his eyes. Okay, so if he gets into a fight, he doesn't want those suckers hanging all out here where something can get hold of him, all right? So he can retract those back and hide them and protect them.
Wait, but can he still
Okay.
see or no?
He can still see. He just not quite, probably can't see 360 degrees anymore, but he can see. But then again, if someone's attacking you right here, I don't care what's going on back there. This is my concentration, all right? Okay? All right. The male blue crab will grow a little larger than the female. He has a shapely pointed apron on the bottom, or a sharply pointed apron on the bottom of his shell. The female has a more rounded apron, and we're going to show you a picture. One of the ways you can remember this, and next year if you catch a blue crab on your beach trip, if you're able to flip him over without losing a finger, because they will pinch you, the male has the Washington Monument underneath him. On his bottom, you flip him over, and you will see a Washington Monument. The female will have the dome of the U.S. Capitol. If he's young and he's not mature yet, he'll have more of a triangular look to him. Okay? And that's how you can tell the male, the female, and if they're young. Their gender has been decided, but they're not mature enough yet that you can tell which one they are. Okay? And this is what they look like.
Oh, yeah.
This is the underneath. It won't be blue like that. It'll just be white. But you can see the markings on him, and it will. It'll look like a Washington Monument.
It does.
Okay. The female, up a little bit more, looks like the dome of the U.S. Capitol. Okay. And the immature one has more of a pyramid triangle looking thing.
Oh, I thought that was going to be a triangle.
Okay. All right. So that's pretty cool. All right, now the red coloration on the claw tips is much more prominent on the females. The male has red only on the extended, extreme tips of his claws. The female has much more red on hers, okay? So that's another way you can tell them apart. If they've got a lot of their claw is red, it's probably a female, okay? A blue crab will measure over 6 inches across on the adult males. During summertime, now you guys will get there, the molting season will be over by next fall, by September. But this summer, you very well, if you go to the beach and you come across a crab, look for a black and red line down his back. That means he's getting ready to molt. Okay, he is getting ready to lose that shell. Okay, he is growing and he is getting ready to lose that. Okay? And when he sheds his crusty covering, the soft-shelled crab, he then eats the old shell that he comes out of. And I got a video I'm going to show you of him coming out of this thing.
And then is he gonna eat it?
He eats the old shell, and that gives him calcium to help the new shell harden up within 2 days. But for 2 days, he is very vulnerable to any predator, so he has to kind of go into hiding to protect himself, okay? Because at that point in time, he really has no protection whatsoever. Yes, sir?
Wait, but how does he eat the hard shell?
It softens as it crumbles off. As it's coming off, it crumbles off.
So it also in little pieces.
But he
So
eats
it's
it.
also in little pieces so it can.
Well, it's not little bitty pieces, but he's able to eat it.
So it can eat it.
You don't have to take my word for it, dude. He eats it. That's
Can
all
they
I
get
can tell you.
sunburns after they
Okay, go back up a little bit. Keep going, keep going, keep going. All right, fiddler crab. Okay.
They're happy.
Yeah, you might not get that far either. Wow. Okay. All right. The appearance of the male fiddler is unmistakable. The crab has an oversized claw on one side, and I'm talking oversized. Okay, some of them, all of them have one that's usually a little bit bigger, but this guy it's like, we go from here to here. I
That's the
mean,
one
we're
for
talking
the
massive.
crushing. That's the
Okay.
one for the crushing.
Yes.
We were, my grandparents like live at the beach.
You know, I don't know why I tried to take this class. The first class, they don't ask questions. Of course, they talk all the time among themselves, but, yes, go ahead.
So, we had that at the, we went to their, we got on their boat, sorry. We got on their boat.
Okay, you're at the beach.
And then we went to these islands, like, in front of their town.
Yeah.
Hey! We saw fiddler crabs everywhere, like, you could just
Yeah.
catch them to use as bait, but I never saw, like, their holes with the pellets beside them. Like, I never saw the pellets.
You need to get down on the ground and talk with them and have them invite you home.
No, I saw the holes, but not the pellets.
You don't have to. Yeah. I'm lying. I made all this up.
This is how every conversation works.
Yeah.
So you ask me a question? So, I was at my grandma's house.
Yeah.
It does, I will tell you the truth, it's very rare that you'll see the pellets.
Is that
You
the
won't
adult
see them every time. You are absolutely correct. Okay, yes, sir.
The bigger ones is used for crushing, right?
And tying his shoes, because he wears a lot of shoes. 'Cause he's five pair. Okay. Anyway, they have oh mercy. They have an oversized claw on one side, which they wave to defend their territory and to attract mates. Okay? The whole of a fiddler crab burrows are easily spotted in the marsh. They're about a dime-shaped opening in the soil. You will see this next year also, because there will be, at the marsh, there's a muddy area there that you will see this, if you remember to look, okay? If I get to go with you, I will point it out, but I don't know if that's going to happen or not. Easily spotted on the marsh, they are about dime-shaped opening. Stack of pellets will be nearby sometimes, again, as Spears pointed out, it's not always. Fiddlers burrow by scraping sand and mud into pellets and then carrying the pellets out of the burrow. That's how they dig it. They go down and dig and they form it into a little ball where they pull it out and they lay it beside the hoe. Okay, and they use it then for something. Then they scurry back into their holes. They would dig these things from 1 to 2 feet because that, you know, a raccoon or a fox or something digging, he's only going to go down so far and then he's going to go find something else to mess with. So it helps protect them. The burrow serves the marsh well. Okay, think about your yard. Your dad might aerate the yard. That's where he plugs, and you've got those little dog poop or something laying around the all over your yard. That's aerating. He does that. It allows air and stuff to get down in there, and it's good for the soil. So these guys are actually helping the marsh by doing this, by living in the marsh. Because so you know, God kind of created these little guys. Everything kind of feeds and looks after each other. Okay, so it's really pretty cool. And it ventilates the marsh at low tide and irrigates it at high tide. During high tides, the fiddlers will come up and grab one of those little mud plugs and take it, and they will go down and they will pull that thing down, and when the water comes up, it keeps it from flooding his house. Okay, it keeps it from flooding his house. Okay, and it keeps him dry. All right. Now they are almost exclusively vegetarians. Okay, they feed primarily on algae because there is a bunch of algae growing at marshes and things. Okay, so that is their primary food source. They, along with the ghost crab, are known as being swift-footed, which means they can run really fast. Okay, if you've ever been ghost crab hunting, and you guys will get to do this next year on your beach trip. Ghost crab, of course, runs sideways when he runs. He is really funny to watch. Okay. All right. Fiddlers are named for their appearance and behavior of the male. When the male crab waves their large claw back and forth, they resemble a bass fiddle player. I have never seen that, and I just do not. I don't know who looked at that and went, "Wow, he looks like he's playing a bass fiddle." I don't see it, but supposedly that's where they got the name. Okay, and then you see the size of that one claw, though. I mean, it's bigger than he is. It's pretty big. Okay, it's pretty big.
Isn't that kind of what
All
they
right.
run sideways? Is because they have to drag the big.
All right, thank you, Braxton.
Wait, we're not learning.
No, we don't have time. We're running out of time. So that's as far as we got today. I told you ghost crab. We got through fiddler crab. We'll pick up tomorrow. Okay? Bye-bye.